Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Man, go check us out at rumble.com. Look up the Josh Guillory Show, fixing that one little tiny mic issue. Walks and give me a thumbs up here in a little bit. And shout out to our KLFY Plus viewing audience. Oh, we got the mic. Okay, good. Yeah, go check us out, rumble.com. Join that chat. All the things. We are talking about California. Bunch of silly things going on over there. Budget out of control. You know, talking about basically a politician over there, Gavin Newsom this time, but there's a whole bunch of them across our country doing this. Talking like activists while basic infrastructure is ignored. Roads, drainage, all the things, utilities, crime, you got to look at that. But we want to talk about activists. And I'm telling you, there is a growing big government crowd in our country, and it's maybe because everything's nationalized. Maybe since everything's been 24-hour news, you know, we all think we all live in the same bubble, and we never have. Our country is made up a bunch of little bubbles. 50 states divided and territories divided up in a whole bunch of cultures, and we, of anybody from Louisiana, should know that. We're very diverse down here. We get along, but we're not one size fits all. This country has never been one size fits all. This country has never succeeded when the federal government intervened in places where it shouldn't. Tell me where it has. And done it effectively. Because I support Social Security. I support a lot of federal initiatives. You just got to make sense. And what I don't like is, and I think a lot of folks are starting to see, is every time government, federal government or state government comes in and does a local mission, it takes the power away from the local community where all the people live. That's the bubbles. Those are the bubbles. Local government. And sometimes those bubbles have like little bubbles inside, like Lafayette, for example, bigger parish. Small geographic area. You got a bunch of little cultures in there. It's unique. You go other places, not so much. Maybe other places even more so. But who's better to know those needs? The city council, the mayor, parish president, parish council, or Baton Rouge, or Tallahassee, or any of these other capitals? You were thinking Albany as a Yankees fan? But that tension is driving almost every political fight right now. Every major one. And Gavin Newsom keeps becoming the poster child for it. He's like the gift that keeps giving. But he's also very smart politically. I mean, this is a no-brainer for him. If he's running for president in 2028, this is a no-brainer. I mean, he is going to have a field day. I mean, he's going to pad his stats for the primary. Now, that's going to doom him in the general election, in my opinion, because most folks aren't that extreme. You can win the primary. Kamala Harris did it with no votes twice. Well, 2 times no votes, 1 nomination. Joe Biden got more votes than she did. That's what I'm saying. Now, this tension is real. Newsom keeps pushing it. Newsom, by the way. A guy running one of the most expensive states in all of America is now proposing, I just want us to know what's going on here. He's proposing a 100% tax on political enemies while his own state is buried under wasteful spending. I wonder why so many folks with a few coins in their pocket are leaving. I wonder why those small business employers are leaving that state. Oh, evil capitalism. Yeah, until who's going to feed your folks? None of that's moderation, what we're seeing over there. 100% tax? I mean, ideological warfare is an understatement. This is like ideological warfare with a taxpayer-funded line of credit. Unsecured. Secured by Gavin Newsom's words. Very interesting. I'd like to sit down. I want to go on his podcast. I wonder if he still does that. Walk. Do you think that he would let me on?
No,
Why?
because he doesn't like people that don't agree with him.
I think he would have a blast. I'm not a, I'm a friendly guy. If I welcome Democrats on the show. You can even talk. I'd say, well, sure he would. We'd have a good time. I wonder what we'd talk about. If it was Comey, we'd talk about seashells. I don't know where that came from, but I just been thinking about it lately. Let's move to another West Coast community here, Seattle. Hey, we got to talk about this stuff because I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of listeners in Louisiana, in Acadiana, in Lafayette area, St. Martin, New Iberia, all those areas that are thinking, hey, why are we talking about this? Because this ideology could come to you. This ideology could come to you. I mean, lawfare, for example. We never used to talk about that. Now that's at the local level. It could happen to you, and it does. It does. The way we deal with roads, is it a top-heavy state government issue? Maybe sometimes. Maybe 100 years ago, a lot. 2026, is that really? Are infrastructure projects really a state issue outside the major state interests? Probably not. So, this big government bug, it's so enticing. It's tempting. You got all these resources at the national level. You got all these resources at the state level. It's so easy if you want to help people just to press that button. But when you press that button, it's a trade-off. When you press that big government button, yeah, you're going to get a solution like that. But the power that you gain and the power that you take away from the local government, it's never the same. It only grows one way and shrinks the other way. Democrat or Republican, because that power is bipartisan. Power is bipartisan. It's whoever leaves the power occupies the power. Whoever comes in occupies the power next. If it's a left-leaning administration, they're going to use the power that you gave them, Republicans, to do left-leaning things. Vice versa. And look, it's tough, and it's really not fair for the Republican Party to have to carry this weight. But this is where we find ourselves in this country. Right now, we've had the Democrat Party and rhinos use lawfare, abuse prosecutorial agencies across the country, local, state, national. We've seen a further dependency on government, which is now starting to creep into the Republicans, and I'm really, really nervous about that. Short-term gains do not always mean long-term gains, and it's so easy in this 24-hour news cycle that's really not. I mean, there's a reason why they play the same thing over and over. It's not really news all the time. But it's a whole mindset. It's a whole mindset. But the pendulum swings, walk, diggity dog. It swings. It goes one way, goes the other way. Right now, we're in an extreme. Hopefully, it comes back. But we will certainly see that. We will certainly see that. But yeah, this thing in Seattle, man, when we get back, I'm going to talk to you about, I'm just going to say, apparently to the Seattle leaders over there, they have a trans relocation crisis. Well, and I just feel like it's my public duty to let you guys know about it. So, all right, stick around. We'll be right back, me and Walk. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Walk, my favorite part of the whole show. Them phone lines are open. Let me tell you first about my friends over there at Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. You can't go wrong with Giles Nissan. Man, they always have sales going on. So, but look, you got to check them out. So Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. You already know you're going to have a wide variety of Nissans. You already know you're going to have, if they don't have it, they're going to be able to get it to you real quick. But also it's the service. Don't forget about the service over there at Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. 2 locations, 1 standard care, and it is top notch, okay? When you bring your vehicle in to get serviced, they will leave it in a better condition than what they found it in. And, you know, they shoot you straight. I mean, how many times in life, not just with car repairs or anything, or maintenance or a vehicle or a purchase, you know, it happens a lot of times. You kind of feel a little pressured. Not at Giles Nissan. Go check them out. Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. We love it. All right, let's see here. Let's go to the phone lines, 232-1542, 844-766-6607. Let's go to this gentleman first. All right, caller, you're live on the Josh Guillory Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from? That's you, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Nope. All right, we missed him. Okay, let's go to Seattle. Seattle may have officially disappeared into parody. I'm convinced of it, I think. Now they've got activists claiming there's a trans relocation crisis. And I had to tell you about it. I didn't want you to live your life not knowing that there was a trans relocation crisis in Seattle, Washington. They are demanding taxpayer-funded housing, medical support, legal services, emergency powers, because it's a crisis, and government money for activist-run nonprofits. Seems really, really legit, BLM. Just saying. And here's one amazing part. Their own letter admits they don't even have data showing this crisis actually exists. I think that detail feels important. You kind of have to have data to back your crisis. You know, you react to flooding, you do drainage projects. You react to roads, and you have data on them. You have this many gallons, this many whatever. You know, you can measure it scientifically, follow the science. Roads, same thing. You got some science behind it. You also have the eyeball test. What is this? There's no data to support what they're saying. But this is the modern activist model now. This is also the activist Ponzi scheme, in my opinion. Well, I don't know if it's Ponzi, but you get what I'm saying. Not always on the up and up. I remember there was this program in Minnesota. Oh, but I digress. Look, this is the modern activist model, though. It really is. Declare an emergency, create one first, then declare emergency, create emotional panic, demand public money, attack anybody asking any kind of questions, because why would you do that? Why would you? Questions? Come on now. Same playbook every single time, and I think Americans are catching on to it. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Let's try this again. All right, caller. You are live on the Josh Guillory Show. What's your name? Woo. All right, let's try it again. Caller, you're live on the Josh Guillory Show. What's your name? Where you call? All right. Big Chris, you got this. What's up, Big Chris?
Man, I thought it was in the time zone.
I had to wake everybody up. Wake everybody up.
Hey, who owns Greenland? Portugal, right?
I don't even know. No, I don't know. I don't think it's Portugal.
Whoever owns Greenland, I got a deal for them.
All right.
We'll trade them New York and California for Greenland.
Okay, all right.
And we're throwing Oregon and Washington as a little extra, little lanyard.
Well, hey, and Big Chris, Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark.
Well, so we'll tell Denmark we'll give them a great deal. They get the 2 biggest population states in the nation, New York and California, would throw in Washington and Oregon, and they give us Greenland. How about that?
I like it. See,
I think
look,
we'd be way better off.
Big Chris, 100%, 100%, and take the electoral votes with you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Big Chris. Love you, brother. Appreciate you. All right, let's keep on keeping on. So, several articles out there says that Seattle already has a giant budget deficit. Does that sound familiar? Did we just not talk about a Democrat-run entity, the state of California? Same thing, but yet we want to do 100% tax on certain folks, political enemies. Well, this particular incident is Seattle, who has a giant budget deficit right now. Homelessness is still exploding. And how much money did you throw out at it? How much? What happens in a city is what the mayor lets happen. Period. Homelessness exploding. Public safety problems still exist. Drug addiction is still ravaging parts of the city of Seattle. Yet somehow the political energy always goes towards creating a brand new, taxpayer-funded, activist industry. And I think, hey, look, there's some Americans tuning these people out completely. I get it, but they still get oxygen. That's what is mind-boggling. I mean, you could sell ads still on this. I mean, working families are trying to survive cost of living. People are trying to afford rent, especially in Seattle. Young couples trying to buy a home, start a life. Parents trying to raise kids safely. Meanwhile, you got these activists marching around demanding publicly funded trans refugee infrastructure. What is that? With emergency declarations attached to it. What is trans refugees infrastructure? Do men who are pretending they are women, do they not drive on the same roads? Am I missing something? See, I have a different understanding. Well, most America has a different understanding of infrastructure than the Biden crowd, the Harris crowd, and then the Seattle crowd. You know, the soft infrastructure thing that we had to all suffer through. Still waiting for the infrastructure dollars. $4 trillion, I think it was. Where Karen Crow got some money. I think that's the only local place I see. I don't know. Could be wrong. I could be wrong. But people think when they hear all that stuff, what planet are these people living on? Like, what is trans refugee infrastructure? I don't know. And politically, Democrats, leadership at least, keep empowering the loudest activists in the room instead of the most reasonable people in the room. That's why the party keeps drifting further and further away from middle America. I mean, look, if an adult wants to move from one state to another state, welcome to America. People relocate all the time, but refugee actually has an actual meaning. People fleeing war zones, that's a refugee. People escaping political collapse. People escaping cartel violence and civil conflict. Seattle activists are now trying to apply that language to Americans voluntarily moving between states inside their own country over policy disagreements. So it's their little hideaway. They need the infrastructure to hold these refugees. You know, I don't know. I mean, does that mean I might have to rethink this, Walt? Seattle is going to be refugees for transgender folks, and like they get refugee status by going into their state. Well, can we all is this an opportunity to send all of our way far left-leaning folks over to, I mean, look, it's a win-win. It's a win-win. You get out of mainstream America. You make Seattle the crazy capital of the world. All their autonomous zones, or is that Portland? Anyway, same region. Yeah, that might be a thing. Maybe we offer folks, look, down here in Alabama, in Louisiana. You know, we think that's you're off your rocker. We have compassion for you. We don't want to make fun of people or make them, you know, feel bad or anything. But we can't tolerate untruth. We have to stand on truth. And the truth is there's two genders, male and female. So it's very easy. I just follow the science. Like I was told in 2020, I was preached to so much that now it's ingrained in my head to follow the science. Well, I've been following the science, and there's two sexes, male and female. But all of this analogy, connection to refugee cheapens real suffering. And taxpayers don't like that with, you know, all this emotional blackmail, basically, emotional blackmail politics, where every disagreement immediately becomes fund us immediately or you're hateful. And I think that ship needs to sail. All right, guys, stick around. We'll be right back. Hang tight. Keep those phone lines open. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. We are broadcasting live from the KPEL studios and live on rumble.com. Shout out to our KLFY Plus viewing audience. Let me tell you all about my friends at Dr. Kevin. You just heard them on the radio. Dr. Kevin at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic, man, check those guys out. They are fantastic. If you're looking at just feeling better overall, just strength, just focus, things like that, can't go wrong. You know, he'll shoot you straight. Blood work is pretty telling at times, but, you know, they have a methodical way to make you feel better, and you can see it. You can see the results. You can see the lab work. They explain it. I love Dr. Kevin. I love Chris, his top assistant over there, and all of his team. Go visit Dr. Kevin at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic, 983-CARE. So remember that, 983-CARE. You're not going to want to miss it, 983-CARE. Go visit my friend Dr. Kevin. Got to get him back on the show, man. He's always great to be on the show. All right, so we were talking about Seattle absolutely losing its mind, creating this basically trans refugee program infrastructure. Give us all your folks that pretend that they are gender that they're not, and we need some money for this. We got to manage these people. You notice that even in the programs that these folks are pushing, they still treat people with identity politics. Why do you need the government to, what are you overseeing? People, Americans moving to an American state? That's what you're overseeing? But you even still treat them like cattle. But that's the Democrat Party. Rhinos, they're the same. They're the same. Different plantation, different chains. Same slave master. But when you call these folks refugees, you are totally cheapening real suffering out there. I mean, look, and then to question this, you're treated as if you're an enemy of the state, an enemy of Seattle. Last time I checked, I think those folks in Seattle and Washington, they still have the right to ask questions before government starts handing out money. Nothing wrong with that. Especially when the same cities demanding new emergency spending can't even manage the emergencies that they have. And here's what really hurts Democrats politically. This stuff makes Republicans look more and more normal. I mean, it's like it just, even if you had some arguments, like this is the loony-toony stuff that just really, well, it's the honest truth. Just the honest truth. The activist left keeps pushing ideas so disconnected from Joe Public, everyday life, that average voters start to move in other directions just to escape the insanity. Now, look, you come to our party now. Don't be bringing those lefty big government ideas with you. That's my only concern. But it's okay. We welcome. Better to be in our camp than theirs. And Seattle keeps volunteering, by the way, to become the national example of chaos, of this silliness, the silliness capital of the world. Hashtag, put a hashtag, it's real. Every time. Every single time. I mean, you're talking about refugee status. Now, we got about a minute left in this hour, and we come back next hour, though. We're going to talk about Ron DeSantis and property taxes, and I'll break it down in detail. But the governor's pretty much pushing no property taxes, and that's a very interesting discussion. If you can do it, do it. It's a state that has no state income tax, which is what Louisiana should be doing, and now the governor's saying no more property taxes. And his theory, again, we'll go over it, but his theory is there's so much waste in local government that this would force more wise spending. I don't know, Governor. I don't know. I think there's a lot of wasteful spending in state government. But when we get back, though, we'll talk about this because that's going to be that's a philosophical debate. Is that a situation where it feels good politically, but you still got to balance everything, and that balance is what we're going to focus on. But I'm going to tell you this: if he can figure that out, man, do y'all know how inviting Florida would be? No state income tax, no property tax. That is That is wild to imagine. So, hey, we're going to see Governor. If anybody can do it, I do believe Governor DeSantis can. Very smart guy, great leader, and we'll talk more about it when we get back. Stick around, just a tiny little break. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Josh Guillory Show. I remain your grateful host, very grateful host, and in studio with me still, Walk Diggity Dog, Walker Gaffon. What's up, Walk?
What's going on?
Man, I'm good. You have a good break?
Yeah. How about yourself?
I did. I got a lot of work done.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You can't call this work. We're just having fun. So, anyway, so Ron DeSantis over there in Florida is actually proposing something that if he could pull this off, it would be remarkable. So Florida, keep in mind, does not have a state income tax. Would love other states to not have one. We're getting better. I'm going to be positive. But no state income tax. And the governor is proposing something pretty bold, and probably need to slow it down so we can talk a little bit more about it. Property taxes. I can see why this is popular, obviously. I mean, we all pay taxes. Ugh. But property taxes drive people crazy. Think about it. You buy a home, you pay for a home, you maintain the home, you insure the home, and government still sends you a bill every single year just for the privilege of continuing to live there. And on top of that, they give you another little treat. They keep assessing your value, and those numbers rarely go down. And when I think of this on ad valorem taxes, millages, property taxes, whatever you want to call it, I think of that little old lady on fixed income. I do. That has paid her house off, her and her husband, maybe her husband passed away, just her over there, very fixed income, already paid for the everything. We don't think we should cap those things, cap that age. I know there's some caps on assessing value and things. I just think, man, you've paid the piper, in my opinion, and I just think that's a way to help folks. And it wouldn't impact too much. I don't think the financial impact would be crazy. It's just a thought. But people get fed up with that system. I get fed up with that system too. There's a lot of waste. And look, there is a lot of waste in local government all across of America. Okay? I'm going to give you a great example, and this is not personal or anything, but I personally live here. It's the best case example I have. Look at Lafayette Consolidated Government. The current budget right now, and it's going to be more because they're about to release it, but it's $100 million more than the previous administration. I know that administration very well. It's all public information for you. All public information. What do we have to show for the $100 million? All I see is projects being canceled or not being completed. I see government growing. I see a lot of jobs that were eliminated because they were non-essential that are coming back, that have all come back, basically. So, yes, of course, there is waste in local government all across our great land. You know, I mean, and DeSantis is right about that. He very much is right about that. Some local governments spend money really like it's going out of style. So when DeSantis says, hey, let's cut property taxes, dang right people cheer. I understand why. You understand why. But eventually the math still has to work. So that's why I am intrigued. I don't think this very, very smart man and his administration, who seems to be very smart with him, giving him good advice at least, I don't think they'd put out a plan like this if they couldn't show the numbers. The only thing I can think of is you overcompensate by sales tax. Tourism over there is much different. We'll break that down too. But Florida, again, no state income tax. So if you dramatically reduce property taxes too, somebody still has to pay for local police, local fire protection, roads, drainage, schools, EMS, infrastructure, government operations, a whole bunch of things. And maybe the answer is cutting huge amounts of waste. Great. Yes. Do it. All the mayors, do it. You do not need your governor's permission. Right now, you can, maybe if we say it enough, all across this great land, mayors, and councils. You too could cut waste without any governor's permission. Just saying that, I'm just throwing that out there. It's a thought. And there are recent examples within the last 6 years. But maybe the answer is keeping taxes only on commercial property and tourism. Maybe that's the answer. Florida has advantages there that other states don't have, you know. But here's the part where conservatives, where even moderate Democrats, Republicans, I don't know about rhinos because they have no policy. But here's the part where a lot of folks, a lot of Americans kind of, man, we got to think long term here now. I'm not saying don't do it, but think long term. We can't act on what's good now. Can't be emotional. If the state government starts telling local governments, because it's a double-edged sword. If the state government starts telling local governments, hey, you can't collect this revenue anymore, then eventually the state gains more control over local governments itself. And usually, centralized power is not something we like. Centralized power, no matter who's in charge, long term, is not a good way to govern. And we have plenty of examples of that. So we got to think about this very carefully. What happens one day? I'm just saying. What happens when one day when a Democrat governor decides, well, if the state is backfilling local money, then the state gets to decide how local governments operate. You don't think that there's people in the Democrat Party that would do that? Because now, I'm just saying, if under this model of centralized government, now all of a sudden Baton Rouge, Tallahassee, I use all my examples again, they start dictating local priorities. It's one thing to have influence. It's one thing to get local municipalities on the same page with like a state road program, drainage, things like that. But you just got to be careful. Just got to be careful. You know, conservatives traditionally believe government works best closest to the people. Local voters know what their communities need. So you got some left-leaning, hippy-dippy mayor and council over there. Well, let the folks decide if that's what they want, that's what they want. As long as you ain't taking resources from the common sense communities. But that is kind of a way to do that. You start letting states do it, then you're making people, you're making communities, it's not an American concept because you're taking away prosperity from, it's socialism. You're taking prosperity from one community because these other folks can't get their act together, and you're subsidizing essentially. And now you have state government doing police, doing fire, doing all these things because it's wasteful. I'm curious to see how much waste is in the Florida state government. Maybe not as much, because I think Ron DeSantis is fantastic. I love this dude. This is not me criticizing him. This is me being true to my values, and I think most of the folks listening and watching understand where I'm coming from and probably are agreeing with me, because you don't have to be a Republican or Democrat to understand history, and you don't have to be a Democrat or Republican to understand the world and look at different models of socialism. And I'm not calling Florida socialist. This is wonderful, man. If you can eliminate property tax, what? Yeah. I just don't want it to turn into state government now has to subsidize because of a shortage to pay for police, a shortage to pay for fire. And what about the counties and cities that don't rely on travel, on tourism? How are they going to get sales tax? And look, this is so easy for me just to sharpshoot. How easy is it for me to talk a bunch of noise behind a microphone in a doggone chair, watching baseball in the background? That's so easy. I applaud Ron DeSantis, and I applaud Florida's legislators, and I applaud this bold thinking. I'm just trying to keep the dialogue honest and pure, because if we can achieve all of that, think about the win. If you can achieve all that in Florida, you create a model for other states. So if you can take away state income tax you could take away a majority and most of the property taxes without taking power from the local governments. That's the thing. Without taking power from the local governments, then I think this is this could be one of the greatest things we see in the entire country. It could very well be. All right, guys, we'll wrap a bow on this when we get back and talk about so much more. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasting live from rumble.com. Let me see you over there at the Josh Guillory Show, KPEL here in Lafayette, and shout out to the KLFY Plus viewing audience. We love you guys. Man, let me tell y'all about my friends over there at Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. You know you're going to have a wide variety of Nissans. You know you're going to have great, and honest sales team over there to make sure that you're finding exactly what you need. You know, you got your questions. These guys are subject matter experts, not pushy. Definitely going to try to find the value, exceed your expectation. And they love that. They love the challenge. They love it. It's genuine. But at Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette, it's not just the vehicles. It's not just a wonderful and honest sales team. It's the service as well. You're not one and done when you get a Nissan over there at Giles Nissan. No, you got the service team that's right there, got your back. Go in there from an oil change to anything with the engine. Just go check them out, and they pride themselves on leaving your vehicle, giving it back to you in a better condition than when they even found it. That is wonderful. Go visit my friends at Giles Nissan, Opelousas, Lafayette. And I'm going to visit a little post that my dear friend, who has co-hosted this show, guest hosted this show more than any human, has done. And he's going to make the 5-timer club. I'm telling you, I'm going to give him a special jacket. And that's my dear friend, Congressman Clay Higgins. I love this man. Love him. I love him. I love him because he's real. And he's a good dude. He's a smart dude. And, you know, I got the blessing to serve with a lot of folks while I was in office. And I love serving with Congressman Higgins because he just shot me straight. Here's what we can do. Here's what we can't do. Here's some things you can think about. Here's the people to call. What more could you ask for? Very, very good. And his staff, too. Shout out to his staff. And shout out to all of our staffers out there in the state here back in the districts, because you guys have a tough job sometimes getting around. Those districts are difficult to navigate around, and we're going to talk about some of those maps right now, or one of those maps right now. But shout out to Congressman Higgins' staff, too. I love them. So this is what Congressman Higgins posted. He goes on Facebook. He has a picture of the map. He says, "Wow, I've been quiet until now, but this, what the HE double hockey sticks? This map is the worst I've seen yet. And I've seen many. This Frankenstein-looking thing was no doubt drawn up by a very small handful of guys in a secret room. Nobody should support this insanely bad map. I am 100% opposed to this latest and worst iteration of proposed Louisiana congressional districts." And he tagged the legislature. Hashtag LALEGE. Well said, Congressman. As usual, well said. I agree. It's better, maybe, than the last one because it has, it's if we're going to play politics. But look, guys, this is the deal with the districts, the congressional districts. It's 100% political now. If one of the majority minority districts was unconstitutional due to race, then the other one is too. So the only thing that these elites can tell us and try to force down our throat is, well, it's not based on race. It's just, well, Orleans Parish, and they just happen to be Democrat. Please. These are the same people that drew the Cleo Fields QR code district maps. You telling me they can't carve out 6 Republican seats? Because guess what, buddy? Guess what? Every Democrat state is about to go 100% all in. Why can't we? This is not the same as Virginia. Virginia didn't follow Virginia rules. That's why the Virginia 10-1 map was kicked out. Maybe they come back with a 10-1 map. Maybe they come back with 11-0 map. But that is the battlefield until we can grow up. And I'm just saying we're going to have to go through this purging, but this is the map. This is the battlefield. These congressional districts are no longer created based on objectivity. No longer, like some of these states have these commissions that are supposed to be bipartisan, and they just draw it by population and liked, similarly situated, for lack of better words, communities. But nope, we're just gonna. Here you go. Just blow away the seats. Blow away the seats. I don't understand it. You can't convince me. No one. I feel like I've heard them all. And the one that just really just makes me scratch my head is the whole, well, we got to think about New Orleans. Yeah, we should. We should think about New Orleans a lot. And for the one time in maybe 50 years, they may have a hope at someone representing them with good ideas and put them under the leadership of a Republican congressman. What do you have to lose, Baton Rouge? Don't get too upset. All their other leaders are Democrats. Just give them one. Just give them one. And save the country. Help save the country while you're at it. But I get it. There's a lot of political pressure out there, and I don't get it. I don't get it. And that's maybe why I'm sitting right here and not reelected, because I just can't stand these little nonsense measures. It just eats at me. I don't know why. I give folks the benefit of the doubt when they get in. I try to, because, campaign conservatives are very, very persuasive. And I just don't know how we can have a supermajority in the House and the Senate. And by every legislator is welcome on. I'm an easy interviewer. I ain't out to get nobody. I just want information. The folks just want the truth. But truly, can someone please explain to me objectively, why do we choose to give Democrats a seat when we don't have to? It's a fair question. It's a fair question. Why do we choose to do that when we don't have to do that? The Arlene's argument is a joke. Do you not believe in Republican values? I do. I believe in conservative values. I believe that a large part of the Arlene's population, once we can have dialogue, is also probably more conservative than we'd like to admit, or they'd like to admit. Outside the government dependency, that is all Democrat right now. Ain't all Democrat. Mostly. We still got a few good idea fairies in our party. Easy button, Walt. Don't do it. You do the easy button, man. It's like taxes and growing government. That is the easy button. Oh, we're just going to tax it. How's it going? Lafayette Parish had its taxes raised a year or two ago. No one knows. It just kind of went through. You didn't vote on it, by the way. Anyway, let's go to this topic, man. This topic's going to hit home for some folks. All right, so there is some movement in Baton Rouge on legacy lawsuits. And on the district maps, I ain't beating you up, Baton Rouge. I'm just asking genuine questions because I really would like someone to explain it to me. I know you can. How about this? Just do the right thing. Just do what your people want you to do, what a majority of your people are doing, because they're asking you to do something that's not illegal, not unethical, and not immoral. So therefore, do it. It's a majority. It's a will of a majority. But these legacy lawsuits, that's in the topic of discussion of many, many little circles across the state. So let's talk about what's really happening, though, in these Louisiana legacy lawsuits, because I think this thing gets spun probably 6 different ways depending on who's talking. Okay, so when we get back, we're going to break down what the heck is these coastal lawsuits. What do you mean by that? And what is a legacy lawsuit? What is all that? Why y'all keep talking about it? We'll explain it. And there's some movement in Baton Rouge, and I can't wait to tell you about it. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I timed it. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, broadcasted live from the KPEL studios here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Man, let me tell you, we are talking about a whole bunch of stuff, but I want to tell you about my friend over there, Kevin, Dr. Kevin at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. I want you to go check him out, 983 Care. You have nothing to lose, a whole bunch of things to gain, and let me tell you, you're going to feel better. At least get you some good diagnosis, good path forward. Could you complement some of the things you're doing? Could you possibly change some things that you're doing that might make your life a lot better? Who knows? But go check him out, 983 Care, Dr. Kevin at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. I can tell you, me personally, and my wife, and actually several of my friends now, growing number, we all love it. We all feel better. So go check him out, Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Like that, huh? I'm telling you, yeah. See, our streaming folks, they got to see the display. Anywho. All right, man. So we're going to talk about legacy lawsuits. What the heck is going on, Q? So most regular folks hear the term coastal lawsuit and probably, and rightfully so, immediately tune out. Tune out. What? Man. So maybe a big mistake here. There are billions of dollars tied up in this fight. You got oil companies, trial lawyers, state government, parish government, energy jobs, coastal restoration, all of it. And so here's the short version. Louisiana lawmakers are moving a bill that would block future climate change lawsuits. That's how they're saying it. It's legacy lawsuits against energy companies in Louisiana state courts. So any kind of state remedy that they were relying on, that my understanding as a civil law jurisdiction, we really like to turn to our legislative body for the law. And my understanding is these legacy lawsuits were jurisprudentially created by case law. But here's a possible statute that would prevent future lawsuits, stopping the bleeding, they say. But at the same time, this bill protects the existing legacy lawsuits that are already working their way through the system. And that distinction is really the whole story. First, let's define some terms, because you kind of need a glossary almost to go off. I mean, this topic is still developing 15, 20 years into it, 10, 20 years into it. Relatively new area of the law, yet intense amount of work that has gone into it, an intense amount of policy discussions that have gone into this. So the legacy lawsuits are those massive coastal lawsuits you heard about filed against oil and gas companies and so many more over alleged damage to property, wetlands, coastal damage, and really tied to decade-old operations, permits, and restoration obligations. And there are a lot of them. I mean, there are a lot of them. I mean, we're talking dozens of cases and potentially billions and billions of dollars in exposure. The oil and gas industry has been furious over these lawsuits for years. Where would you go dig a hole? You got lower severance taxes and a much cleaner legal environment just one state to the west. Where would you dig a hole? You're going to get taxed, although severance tax is much lower now. Grateful. There's been some wins. Been a lot of wins. But the oil and gas guys have been fussing over this for a long time, rightfully so. They are, and think about it. These oil and gas companies came to Louisiana with welcomed arms, loving them. They argue that the oil and gas companies are arguing that under the rules that existed at the time, that's what they operated under. And they argue that they helped fuel the American economy. They helped win wars. They helped create jobs in Louisiana and other places. They've paid their taxes, and now decades later, there's no statute of limitation. There's no prescription. Decades later, they're getting dragged into court with massive liability hanging over their heads. Meanwhile, supporters of the lawsuits argue, hey, buddy, back up. Louisiana's coast absolutely got damage over decades. Canals were cut, wetlands disappeared, and somebody has to help pay to restore it. Well, why don't you go to the politicians 30 years later, decades later? They're all dead or something? I don't know. But the oil and gas companies operated under their rules, the state's rules, and welcomed by the state. Rightfully so. I'd love to welcome them back. Wouldn't it be great? Where's all my friends in St. Mary Parish, in Thibodeau, in Iberia, St. Martin, and Lafayette? All that 90 corridor. You remember those days. Service-related jobs out the wazoo, all along Highway 90. Now we got billboards. No offense. No offense to my friends that are trial lawyers. Hey, I got you. Whatever. But it's true. You see that, you don't see jobs. We have basically just told the whole oil and gas industry that we're shut down for business. Now, the positive to this bill, without a doubt, no more legacy lawsuits. Gotta wrap your arms around it. I don't know how you thread that needle, because if you say, well, we're just going to ban them, even the ones existing, you probably has some legal hurdles there, but maybe not. Sometimes you just don't know. You got to do the best you can with the advice you have, and it's not always crystal clear. Leaders make decisions based on advice. Well, good leaders do, I think. Counsel. Should get counsel. Nobody should do things willy-nilly by themselves, unilaterally. Not in that position. Not in the leadership position. But anywho, that's the backdrop. So here now enters the bill. Now, the original version was a lot different. The original version of the bill was viewed as extremely aggressive protection for the energy industry. I probably would have liked it. It would have broadly shielded Louisiana energy companies from future climate-related lawsuits almost in its entirety. Then amendments started happening. Got to water it down. And those amendments basically said, all right, here's where we'll settle. This is where we will settle. Future lawsuits get restricted, but the existing legacy lawsuits, they stay alive. And every plaintiff and plaintiff's lawyer is like, yeah, I'm cool. I mean, they're still going to get paid. Now, politically, you can see exactly what happened here. The business community, the energy industry, I think they wanted, and I'm not going to be cynical in this, I think they wanted certainty going forward. The existing lawsuits already involve a lot of money on both sides, enormous money. Years of litigation, negotiated settlements, and very powerful stakeholders on all sides. You got some parish governments in there, you got state government. So what appears to be happening is a compromise. That's something. Future climate-style lawsuits get cut off. Existing legacy litigation remains in place. That's really what the bill says. I don't know. Governor Landry announced a settlement deal with Exxon, by the way. I thought that was big, too. It's tied to all these coastal disputes and orphan wells. So, that's major movement. The governor announced that, I think, earlier today or yesterday. So you got some, is this the perfect solution? I don't know. But I will say this on a positive. This would at least stop the bleeding, or this would at least prevent new legacy lawsuits. So, I'm gonna hold tight to the wins there, because that's a pretty massive win. So kudos to the legislature. Kudos to, it's a bill. We'll see how it goes. But Governor Landry's announcement that that the state settled with Exxon, and especially on those orphan wells, I don't discredit that win at all. So kudos. We got some movement. Look, when we get back, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about other things. Who knows? We'll be right back. Stick around. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, go check out my friends over there at Préjean's. You cannot go wrong with Préjean's classic Cajun cuisine. The wait staff is awesome. Go tell Ken and Tim and Karen and all those guys that we said hello. Look, two great locations, one off of I-49 between Karen Crow and Lafayette. That's the historic location. You know where that is. New location or newer location right off of Morgan Street here in Broussard, Louisiana, right off the highway. Very, very easy to get to. Love it. Two great locations, wonderful menu, wonderful staff, and tell them your friends over here from the show said hello. All right, another push, by the way, for the governor to have term limits for the Louisiana governor. So that's going to be an initiative that is going to hit the election or to hit the voters here in November, that we're going to be able to decide on whether or not the governor should be able to come back. Right now, under our current Constitution of 1974, we call it a Constitution, probably with a small c. I like to call it a book of glorified statutes enacted by the people. So, anywho, there's an initiative, there's an amendment that will be introduced, as it looks, to be on the November ballot that will ask us, do we want to change that? Right now, Louisiana law says the governor can serve 2 consecutive terms and must sit out a full term and then can come back. So we've seen that happen. Earl Long did it. I think he shot a lawnmower. Edwin Edwards did it. There's some talk about JBE doing it, John Bell Edwards. He replied, by the way. He replied, said, I'm living in your mind for rent-free. Rent-free? Come on now. Maybe he's right. Man, if the polls show he could win, he would run. He would run. He would have ran against Cassidy or one of the two running right now. He definitely would. If he knew Cassidy was on, he was going to run, in my opinion. He would have won. He'd have beat Cassidy. They'd been fighting over the same votes. Some of them. But under this bill, that's exactly what it would do. So the only 2 folks eligible right now would be John Bell Edwards and Bobby Jindal. I don't think either one of them are serious about running a 3rd term. If I had to pick, it would be John Bell Edwards. I don't know if John. That would be an interesting race, because there would be some. As far as donors, there would be some overlap between the 2 camps. But, we'll see. I don't think he's doing it. But if this amendment passed, he definitely is not doing it. So that's got to be kind of interesting to juggle there. You know, you're in for 8 years. That's a long time. And then you sit out, so you got this other, I just think continuity of governor, but then, you know, people do it. There's a lot of things you can learn when you're sitting out too. One camp says, hey, if the voters don't like it, they won't vote for him. Well, yeah, we see that in Congress too. Why do people go to Washington and work there for 47 years? Because there's no term limits. And it's easy to mislead people in 30-second, 60-second sound bites. It just is. Let's take this call before we go to break, or in for the day. Caller, you're live on the Josh Guillory Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from? That's you, caller. Nope, doggone. Well, the weather is... All right, so that's the skinny on governor term limits. Now, there is also, to go back to these maps, I thought we had some stuff on maps today. The same folks that sued over the racist district, the second racist district in Louisiana, that we had 2 majority-minority seats based on race. Well, the guys and gals that sued in that are discussing possibly suing because of this new district. They're saying that you can say that it's not race, it's about race all you want, but the geographical area happens to coincide with demographics of minority. Hey, you know, if that's the political realm of the legislature, you know, that's their business. But I'm just asking a question: why on earth would we not put 6 Republican seats in there? We're not bound by racism anymore. We don't have to be racist in our districts. We can actually draw them as we see fit. There's only a few restrictions, and that's the battlefield. Remember, we don't have all this objectivity going into these maps anymore. So if that's the political battlefield, you can't tippy-toe around. So anyway, I wish we had some more time today. That's all we got for today, guys. We had a great show. Thank you so much. Love the chats on rumble.com. We will be here back tomorrow. Be careful out there. May God bless you and be kind.